We're back and ready to race. On the left of your screen there, just having a chat through the door of the car, ACT Minister for Tourism, Mr Ted Quinlan. Just ahead of him is the Federal Minister for Cricket, Mr Stephen Waugh. And we also have there the Federal Minister for V8 Supercars in the glasses, Mr Tony Cochrane. Very official occasion here in Canberra. Even though it's a little cool, they're all enjoying themselves immensely on the grid as we get set for race 3. Lots of sunlight out there as well, which is wonderful to see.
Now listen, had the pole sitter been determined on championship points gained, then Scaife would have had position 1. But here there's a catch. It's based on a system that rewards the driver with the best combined placing. So Marcus Ambrose will start on pole position courtesy of a 4th and a 6th. Sorry about the confusion there. You'll see that Mark Scaife started from position 4. Tander Bright is there as well. Larry Perkins from 9. Craig Lowndes will start from 10.
And if you look at the yellow boxes down the right-hand side of the Nintendo starting grid, it shows where they qualified and where they started race 2. So you get a good idea of how they fared throughout the day. Mark Larkham, for instance, qualified 18, started race 2 10. He starts from 17. Big field of cars. Stephen Ellery, Paul Morris. He'll be starting from pit lane. He's got major back troubles. He's been haunted by back problems since that accident at Oran Park. Paul Radisich, Paul Wheel, the walking wounded. So many cars caught up in accidents. Greg Murphy's had a terrible run with a broken drive shaft in race 2. Rick Kelly will start from pit lane as well. Wayne Wakefield, he'll be the last man starting from the grid. So all sorts of dramas out here. And as we said earlier on, there's Rick Kelly in the 02 Holden Young Lions Commodore. Right behind him is Paul Morris, still suffering with the back troubles that he's had, as I said, since that fiery accident at Oran Park a couple of seasons ago. Dunlop in-car camera. Russell Ingall, the man who won race 2. He'll be looking for a strong finish here to try and get his points up.
Guys, there is some radio chat coming that there may be a leak of some kind, possibly fuel coming from car 16. Stephen Richards. Now, a reporter's come through over the radio from Mark Scaife. He's noticed it, so we're going to have to keep an eye in the early stages of this race if the officials say anything about car 16.
That'd be heartbreaking, wouldn't it, for Stephen Richards, the best performer out of the Castrol Perkins Commodore squad since he took up the position this year. Can't see any major signs of trouble.
It's not obvious from those shots, is it? Just a reminder before we get this race underway. Field of 34, but 2 of them starting from the grid and others hastily repaired for their starts. 2 pit stops, tyres and fuel. There's the window. And of course, last year Stephen Johnson took the honours, Stephen Richards the year before that. And in both cases, interestingly enough, that was their first round victory in V8 Supercars. The Ford Flags competition is coming your way once again in 2002. Was a banner before, now it is strictly a flag. We'll give you more details on that as the year and the season, of course, unfolds. And that'll be in full display at Bathurst, the climactic race later in the season.
They'll probably reinvent the flag, I reckon, Woodsy, after some of the banners that we've seen there over the years.
Awesome. And I'm sure they'll come up with some new concept for the flags as well.
12 degrees outside, 13 degrees on the track, so basically it hasn't changed. One of the big questions probably that we'll end up asking ourselves here is how the hell didn't it rain? We had clouds, really nasty clouds coming across before our first race of the day. There's the rear of Stephen Richards' car.
Now those spring-loaded dry brake valves there, one's to put the fuel in, one's to let the air out. Sometimes they can become stuck with a small bit of grit and that allows fuel to pour out. We're not sure if that's what's the problem when they were talking about the fuel leaking from Stephen Richards' car. Hopefully for Richo, those problems have been solved because he's in a very competitive position.
Ambrose on our left, Richards on our right, Scaife on row 2 along with Todd Kelly. This is it, the big one for the Stegbar Canberra 400, the race that carries the most points for an individual winner. And Scaife, got lots of pressure from Todd Kelly. Stephen Richards and Marcus Ambrose get squeezed back to 4th position.
Well, they got the jump off there, but this is the critical thing. You can see Russell Ingall going right up against the rubber tyre walls there in car 8. Everyone holds their breath as they come around on this first lap. Everyone's on cold tyres. The cars don't have optimum grip. And everyone's pushing and shoving to try and get the best track position. Look at the way Richards chucks the car off the flip-flop across the off-camber turn down towards Holden. Really had the car in a big sideways slide. Managed to gather it up as they come down through Holden turn and up Kings Avenue for the first time. 50 laps this time around. A real test.
The Red Army roars not only because Stephen Richards leads this race from the get-go, but also because Mark Scaife has already gone to the front as well. He's up right behind Stephen Richards. Car number 1's already made the move. Lap 1 at 50. John Bowell takes a look down the outside as they swing around State Circle for the first time.
Marcus Ambrose, the top placed forward at the moment. His teammate David Bernard second in the queue as far as the blue ovals go. But there's a pack of Commodores here charging down to Exide Chicane. Punch out of here in second gear down toward the Canberra complex. Another fast part of the track and one of the most popular overtaking opportunities. Stephen Richards gets his tail up, trying to find a break on this field. Every second of time he can find on the track is going to be crucial when he comes in for his 2 compulsory stops.
Straight line racing is the key down there, and patience will be the key for the guys that got the jump put on them from the start, such as Marcus Ambrose. He slotted back a couple of positions. He'll just have to hold his nerve, which I'm sure he'll do. He's a very cool customer. 1 lap down, 49 to go. Marcus Ambrose, you're on board with him. Looking to the rear of Todd Kelly in car number 15. Tander's there. Jason Bright goes through. David Bernard also. Team Brock, Craig Baird. Here's the start. You're looking at Marcus Ambrose looking across to Stephen Richards, and this is where Richards just zips on past.
Yeah, Marcus.
Oh, so much power down from the Castrol Commodore.
Yeah, Marcus has had some problems getting that car off the line. Let's have a look at this from Russell Engel's view. And if you stick with it when he comes through turn 1, you see he gets squeezed right up against the rubber buffers on the outside of the turn. Look, he's right up alongside the team boss there. Stay away from Larry. Larry had his brakes locked up, nudged into the back of the 00 Motorsport car. Russell's left with nowhere to go, and he goes right up against the wall. So plenty of elbowing as this big field of cars tries to squeeze through turn 1. But there it is at the moment. Stephen Richards, Mark Scaife in second, Todd Kelly in third, Marcus Ambrose, Tander and Bright. That's your top 6. Big brake lock up from Scaife. Twice he had a stab at the brake pedal, and plenty of smoke pouring from that left front tyre. It's a section of track that catches a lot of cars out, particularly in these early laps. Tyres aren't up to temperature.
Pit window open between 2 and 36. Remember, there's 2 compulsory stops in this race. The big one, 240 points at the end of it for the winner.
It's going to be interesting. Just talking to some of the...
mate. Remember, yellow line's the pit limiter. Don't use too much throttle.
That's Robbie Starr talking to Mark Scaife. Looks like the Holden Racing team getting ready to zap him in there really early. With the compulsory fuel stop, the likelihood is people will put fuel in first, so they're going to light a fuel load toward the end of the race. But that may not be the way it pans out. I'm sure we're going to see some different pit strategies here. Escape gets into the 40 km/h speed limiter.
Jason Richards comes in behind him. Let's see who takes the early lead and follows Mark Scaife through.
Nice and easy, mate. These will have low pressure, remember, so let them come up. Just get in your ribbon, mate.
Looks like they're going for tyres first. These will have low pressure. Rob Starr talking about the tyres. So that they're going to leave the refuelling till later in the race. Greg Rust is on the spot.
Mark Scaife comes in. And this is a surprise that they're going for tyres first, but there's a few of them in pit lane that are opting for that strategy. The Cat team on standby as well. Good stop there, just over 8 seconds for Mark Scaife.
Probably the thinking behind that, Rusty, is that they'd much rather have the car with nice warm tyres on it later in the race should he have to race someone or launch an attack rather than going onto cold tyres late. So maybe that's a different strategy. The durability of these tyres have been quite extraordinary throughout the championship, and you couldn't get 2 more extremes going from the heat of Darwin to the freezing temperatures of Canberra.
Here's Rick Kelly, started from pit lane. Holden Young Lion. And it's slow going in there. Oh, the lid's open now, so big problems for Rick Kelly from the word go.
Oh, what a shame. Brought it up. Jason Bright hasn't been in yet. So that's an interesting strategy. I think with the fuel use, the cars have got to do about 8 or 9 laps before you can take on a full tank of gas and get to the finish. So the fuel strategy is going to be interesting. So here is Marcus Ambrose in behind Todd Kelly. The order at the moment, Stephen Richards. Todd Kelly moves up to second as a result of Scaife's pit stop. Marcus Ambrose in third. And Marcus Ambrose comes in now. What are the Stone Brothers team going to do?
He's only the 4th driver to come through.
Maybe the strategy is with Holden Racing team to keep try and keep a fuller tank of fuel in the car, maybe to work the tyres harder, keep the temperatures up. There's all sorts of strategy going on out there. and Ambrose comes in. They're going for tyres as well. So everyone's following the same strategy at the moment. Look at the pit stop clock. Shell Helix pit stop clock at the bottom of your screen. 9 seconds. Anything under 10 is considered tidy. Anything under 8 is superhuman. Some teams have been doing it.
It was about a second outside the pit stop of Mark Scaife. So Marcus Ambrose did about a 9.1 and Scaife did about an 8.2 or 3.
So Ambrose comes out just in front of Jason Richards. There's Mark Scaife getting back into his rhythm. One of the first men to stop as soon as that pit window opened. He'll have to top up with fuel later on in the race, so I imagine what they're going to do is keep him out there until they determine he's got enough fuel to go through to the end with a full tank of gas, and they'll bring him in there. No one wants to play poker with the safety car here. It's so dangerous to get caught out when that safety car comes onto the track, because you cannot pit under safety car conditions.
Our race 2 winner, Russell Ingall, rejoins the field as well, and the weirdness of this race overall, this round overall, shows that when he looks back on it, Russell Ingall's worst moment when he lost the wheel in race 1. Here's Rick Kelly. This is what obviously happened to him. Big trouble for Rick Kelly. Just goes straight across. That's at Queen Victoria Terrace there. Turns 3, 4 and 5. And the flip-flop.
This place is just so brutal on the cars, isn't it? You can see the body flex there as it smashed into that curb. Really does do some damage around here. Stephen Richards, Todd Kelly, Garth Tander, Jason Bright, David Bernard. One of the Shell Fords comes in now. Stephen Johnson's already in there. Paul Radisich following his teammate. John Bowes in as well. And everyone going for tyres early. So too Stephen Johnson. And they've got to turn this guy around real fast because Paul Radisich is trickling down the pit lane.
Well, Mark, that's exactly right. Bear in mind that in these events, there's only one pit boom. Stephen Johnson goes in just over 12 seconds, and Radisich arrives. So it is busy stations down here at the moment. They're not ready. They don't have the tyres for car 18. This is going to be a slow stop for Paul Radisich.
That was amazing, wasn't it, Rusty? I mean, those guys really had only a second. We saw it right on our monitor here. They only had about a second in between one car leaving and the other car pulling up.
One pit boom, Matty, per 2-car team. That's something we've got to remind our viewers.
Can't say that was good planning by the Shell team to bring him in back-to-back like that. Could have left Radisich out on the track for another lap and then brought him in, because he's lost a ton of time while the team tried to organise themselves, getting some more tyres.
I guess back-to-back's okay, but nose to tail's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah.
No time to get yourself ready for the next guy to come through. That'll cost him dearly. Mark Scaife has the fastest lap, 1:44.526. He did it on lap 4. We're on lap 5 as Marcus Ambrose gets right up behind Larry Perkins in car number 11. Down State Circle they swing, the highest, the fastest point of this circuit, side by side, and Ambrose goes through. That was a gutsy move coming down there. 5th up to 6th gear, 230 k's plus at times, all the way back to 2nd for the right-hander that is turn 11.
Race leader Stephen Richards comes in and he's taking on fuel first time. So now we've got some different strategy. What's that? Lap 6, that's interesting. So if they brought him in for fuel, then he will have enough fuel now to go to the end of the race. He's got to get his tyre stop out of the way. So the Perkins team obviously thinking differently. They want to have fresh rubber on the car toward the end of the race with a lighter fuel.
Okay.
Here comes Mark Scaife.
Push hard on this lap, mate.
And he'll just sweep around in front of Stephen maybe. We'll see when they come out. Oh, he's in front of Scaife as well. So, 2 cars, both made their first compulsory stops with 1 to come.
A good stop from Stephen Richards. They told him to push hard on this lap. Push hard on the lap. Now Stephen Richards has just rejoined the field. Garth Tander is there. Jason Bright is in 3rd position at the moment. Remember, the pit window opened on lap 2. It closes in another 30 laps. This is the 50-lapper. It's worth 240 points. Race 3 of round 5 on your home of motorsport. It's underway.
Well, here's the first big question mark about race 3 in the Speedwell Canberra 400. Stephen Richards making his second pit stop only 1 lap after his first. Mark Scaife was right behind him. He came out in front of Scaife on the previous lap. He had a fuel stop. It was quicker than Scaife's tyre stop, obviously. And the interesting question there was how hard would Richards go on his original set of tyres when Scaife was trying to bed in or nurse a fresh set of tyres that he had to make last till the end of the race. Well, that equation goes right out the window now as Richo rejoins the race, 2 stops down, but with a fresh set of tyres that he will now have to look after until the end of the 50 laps.
Now, Mark Scaife's in the same situation. He's yet to take on fuel. He put on tyres very early, so he has to protect those, get 50 laps out of them, virtually 50 laps. So there's some fascinating strategy unfolding here. Stephen Richards, though, I think you'd find would be one of the first men to make both his compulsory stops, get the field to come back towards him.
He's the only man to make both his stops. He did his fuel on lap 5, as Woodsy said, and then tyres on lap 6. Just has a look around the cockpit of the Castrol Commodore as he takes on turn 10.
Now he's really got to make hay here because he's got some clear track in front of him. He's really got to squeeze maximum speed out of this car without damaging his tyres to try and make up as much track position before Scaife comes in for his second stop. Refueling shouldn't take as long as changing tyres, so it's going to be interesting to see the overlap, the relative positions of those two. Mark Scaife currently in 16th spot, and he'd be one of the first guys in the queue in terms of making his first compulsory stop. Here's his teammate, Jason Bright. So conditions and positions changing constantly here. Bright is your race leader at the moment. He's already made... Just checking on that.
Well, a little bit sideways for Garth Tander.
Bright still to make his first compulsory stop. Just checking. So he's still got 2 stops to make, obviously. Look at this challenge by Lowndes down the outside on the Valvoline Cummins Commodore. Garth Tander defending his track position. Bright leading, Tander in second, Lowndes in third, Bernard in fourth, Baird in fifth, Faulkner in 6th, Crompton in 7th. First car in the queue to have made 1 compulsory stop. Mark Scaife in 16th position.
Watch the lines on the way in. Nice clean stop.
Lowndes coming in. That's Oscar Fiorinotto, Chief Engineer of Double O Motorsport, telling him to watch the lines. And yes, this man should be extra careful. He got pinged on the exit, ruined his race 1. Hopefully he won't make the same mistake this time around. So Lowndes comes in for the stop. Look at the Shell Helix pit stop clock on the lower left of your screen. Fuel going into the Double O Motorsport Falcon.
Pit lane speed.
And he's back into action, 10 seconds. And that should be enough fuel to get him through to the finish if they've done everything right. Scaife coming in too. You can see the red and white car behind Lowndes. So he's going to come in and top up with fuel to get him to the finish as well. And it's a painfully long process to see where Stephen Richards is relative to Scaife. That's the interesting story. You might see the overlap. There's a Castrol car. Here he comes now, peeling in.
This will be a quick stop. It's not far enough.
Oh, well, he's lost valuable seconds there.
4 seconds already gone, Mark, at the time that it happened. 9, 10 gone now.
Go.
Stop for fuel.
Just imagine it. At the end of the day, if something doesn't go Mark Scaife's way, that's what will happen. We'll go right back to that and see that there's probably only about a half a metre in it in the difference, but he gets out in front of Stephen Richards.
So these guys are a long way back in the pack, but this will pretty much be the battle for the lead once these compulsory stops are out of the way. And look at that, he just got out in front of Richards. And he would have been out much earlier if he hadn't stopped just short of his pit bay. The refueling man couldn't reach the fuel input on the back of the car, and they lost 3 or 4 seconds there. So Stephen Richards now with it all to do. He's got to keep Scaife in view, but the Castrol cars have been very fast here all weekend. Russell Ingall's times in race 2 were very, very efficient. And here comes Jason Bright, Holden Racing Team Commodore, to make his first compulsory stop. He's been out there for a while. Valvoline Cummins car, Garth Tander, we saw him carving it up with Craig Lowndes a few laps back. Here comes Bright for his first compulsory stop.
Much cleaner for Jason Bright for fuel. 4 seconds gone so far. We'll see how long this goes by comparison to Mark Skaife. The overflow. 8 seconds versus about 12 for Skaife.
No mistakes this time. Hey, Rusty, just tell us, when Mark Skaife pulled in there, did he just miss the guy in front of him who would have ordered him to stop right on the spot?
I'm not sure, Matty. It was difficult from the angle that I was standing at, but it did look like the stop was short of the mark, and it meant that the guy with the fuel hose couldn't reach across. And they had real dramas at last minute saying, look, I can't reach it, I can't reach it. And they had to bring Skaife that little bit further forward.
Just bizarre, isn't it? Paul Wheel exits pit lane, and Jason Richards from Team Kiwi, car 021, had a great performance in race 2. He comes in for tyres.
We'll hear that Russell Ingall has just been given a black flag for crossing the yellow line, and here's the replay on the Nintendo replay, almost a carbon copy of Craig Lowndes. Look at that. And they are being very, very tough. I really don't think the punishment fits the crime with that infringement. It is ridiculous. They don't gain any track position out of it. They're not a danger to anyone, and yet they're given such an enormous penalty.
Oh, up on the inside, Mark Skaife goes through at Holden Corner. That was a slower car, Cat Racing. Simon Wills, he got past. Paul Wheels, his next target. The V8 Supercar website, you can recap this race and look forward to our next round in Barbagallo, Western Australia, round 6 of the 2002 Championship. Every single detail you'll need to know, you'll find it in there as we go on board with the Enforcer, takes it through the flip-flop. Remember, he's got a drive-through penalty to complete at the end of this lap. What's that, 45 seconds from start to finish of pit lane?
Somewhere around there, 30 to 40 seconds for a drive-through. So that's really going to hurt Russell Ingall. Had a bittersweet sort of day, hasn't he? He's won race 2, now he's gone to the bottom. Here's Todd Kelly in for tyres. The most competitively placed Kmart Commodore at the moment. Was in 10th spot when he came in. So there's an absolute flurry of activity here.
Indicator off.
We're trying to keep track of it with our own whiteboard system. We've got spotters all up and down pit lane giving us information as it happens.
Take your bars if you think you have to.
And here's problems for Simon Wills in the Caterpillar Ford. Look at this.
That's going to come off, is it? Oh, it's just shredded to bits.
Haven't we seen some dramas from this car? Got caught up in that 3-car pile-up just at the end of Kings Avenue earlier this morning. They fixed the damage, and now he's got a cut tyre. Has not been Simon Wills' afternoon.
The rubbers managed to keep a little bit of a hold of the wheel. Simon Wills, currently 29th. That'll ruin his race. Hasn't been a good one for John Briggs Motorsport. They had problems in race 1. Tony Longhurst was penalised for a jump start. Will this slow down Russell Ingall as he comes through to do that stop, that drive-through penalty that he was given? Just makes you wonder if the Cat Ford in front of him is going slower than 40 k's an hour. That's the maximum speed that Russell Ingall can complete this penalty. And you can just see the clear frustration of the Ford in front of him.
So Ingall serves out the penalty we've seen for Craig Lowndes, for Jason Bright, for several drivers who have stepped over the yellow exit line. Here it is. That's the yellow line that's been causing all the dramas.
There's inches in it, really, isn't there?
Oh, I think it's crazy.
I mean, can you imagine trying to muscle one of those cars around as you're trying to pick up pace out of the exit of pit lane and then concentrate on a tiny yellow line?
Oh, here we go.
This is the problem for Simon Wills. That
was already sort of down on that front left corner by the time he got to it, but Craig Lowndes is in as well.
Yeah, it's just a straightforward. No, I thought it's a problem with the rear left, but it's not. No, nice stop.
Lowndes back out. Lap 12 of 50. Everyone choosing to get their stops out of the way as early as possible. No one wants to gamble with the safety car this time around. We saw Craig Lowndes get a huge advantage last year.
Set your bars.
Didn't pay off. The message is reset your bars. That's the anti-roll bars front and rear as he gets back into action.
Around 10 cars have already made both their compulsory pit stops. 34 cars are out there battling this one. Craig Baird is currently our on-the-road leader. Glenn Seaton yet to come in as well for his 2. Garth Tander in 9th. David Bernard in 10th. Well, the clouds have stayed away. The rain has stayed away, but the carnage is, of course, always still ahead of us. We've got more after this.
15 laps of 50 down. Race 3. This is the big one. 240 points in the Stegmar Canberra 400. And on track, Glenn Seaton leads Max Wilson, Anthony Trapp, Jason Bright. But do not pay too much attention to that, because many of the drivers have made 2 pit stops. The actual race leader, taking that into account, is still who else? But he does have some traffic around him, some guys out there who are in striking position, waiting for an opportunity, and there's a lot of race to go.
I'll tell you one guy who's got an absolute licence to thrill, and he took it. Craig Lowndes. Look at this. This is after his pit stop, his first lap. Sparks fly from the 00 Motorsport Ford. They told him, get out there and put some fast lap times down, and he took it quite literally. He's on a couple of flyers, Craig Lowndes.
He is really flying. He's in that queue of cars that have already made their compulsory stops. He's 5th behind Scaife, Richards, Kelly, Ambrose and Lowndes. They're right back in the pack, but by the time these compulsory stops get out of the way, the really interesting thing is that Jason Bright's leading this race, and if you look down to the gap between himself and Scaife, the first of the cars to have made 2 stops, it's about 30 seconds, and a pit stop takes about 40, so there could be some interesting overlap when Bright comes in for his final stop.
Yeah, I've spoken to Craig Lowndes' lot, and there's no... Oh, dear me, one of the Castrol cars pulled out and nearly hit Brock's lot. Yeah, I've spoken to Lowndes' lot. There's no damage with the bang against the wall. It's interesting, Jason Richards, the Kiwis car, came in and refueled on the 2nd lap, and 3 or 4 of the teams I've spoken to said, well, mate, just don't understand how he can refuel on the 2nd lap, because we don't reckon he'll have enough fuel to make it. So if he runs out towards the end, that's the reason why.
Baz, it's interesting too that you almost saw that collision then between one of the Castrol cars and Craig Baird. That's the 2nd time during this race that we've seen that happen between 2 cars. A 40k/h drag race out of pit lane. To quickly update you on Russell Ingall, he thought he had a clutch problem earlier on in the race. The team told him it was a loose wheel, and when he came up pit lane before it, he was stuck behind Simon Wills. It did slow his pace up. Wills was coming down slower than 40 k's an hour. As soon as Wills peeled off, Russell picked up pace.
Here's our race leader, Jason Bright. This is going to be fascinating because he's leading this one. He's got about a 30-second lead over his teammate Mark Scaife. Scaife is the first of the cars to have made 2 stops. They are 34.6 seconds. So if these guys are really crack, it takes about 40 seconds, including stopping, to make a pit stop.
Your indicator off.
Massive pressure here. We'll go to the wide shot later on and show you the main straight. When Bright is in making his stop, if Scaife comes into view, that is effectively going to be the battle for the lead in a few laps' time.
Remember, the Holden Racing team garage is right up the other end of pit lane, so he has to get all the way up there. They'll do the stop.
Pressure here for these crews.
Go, Rusty.
Matthew, I can tell you that they've been weighing up for the last couple of laps when to bring Jason Bright in. He's felt that he's been held up by the traffic and that he wasn't making much ground. What they are trying to do is get him out.
Well, there goes Scaife. Scaife's gone through.
Put inside of that yellow line.
Now watch this. Where's he rejoin? There's Scaife and there's Bright.
Yep.
So Scaife is in front of his teammate and will effectively take over the lead.
Max Wilson's in front of Mark Scaife, but Wilson has yet to complete both of his. There's Jason Bright, slots in front of Marcus Ambrose.
Well, Jason Bright. Brad Jones takes over the race lead. Max Wilson, another man to pit.
Oh, contact between Ambrose and Bright.
Wow, that was a big hit too. Look at the damage on the Pertec car.
Long way to go, pal. Long way to go.
Wow.
Smoke starts to billow. And that's just that side guard rubbing along the top of the front left tyre. He just went right up the rear of Jason Bright.
It's just amazing, isn't it, how these Ford teams race after race after race. When they're in competitive situations, these things happen. So Marcus Ambrose, boy oh boy, he's been in the wars. He's had so much speed, but in between those speed, problems.
Garth Tander.
Look at the back.
Turn 15, so just as he rejoins the main straight there, currently in 30th position, a little bit of a flame on the right rear, becoming a big flame.
About 30 degrees of toe in on the back wheel as well.
Yeah.
Something seriously broken in that rear end.
These cars do have a fire system, a safety system. There's a couple of buttons that activate it. Basically, if the marshal...
A lot of damage on the front of the car, and that tyre's going to be knackered very shortly.
If the marshal gets to that car, there'll be a little red button just at the front windscreen, and he'll go along and push that. It'll activate some powder that'll go through the car and deactivate any fire. So Marcus Ambrose comes in to survey and fix the damage on the Pertec Ford Falcon. He got swamped at the start of this race. He started on pole position, a 4th and a 6th. He's really fought hard. It was an electrifying performance in race 2 to see the way that he went through the field.
Yeah, I'm down here just having a look. There's the left front wing sort of hanging off, and they can't get the wheel off, the left front off, because the spoiler, the front air dam is against the wheel. Let's just have a little look here. Oh boy, yeah, what a struggle. Now they're going to have to pull the air dam forward. They've got their old tyre lever in now. Giving it a bit of a go.
Oh, that's ugly.
That's going to be a struggle. And then they've got to get the wing. The wings come off at the back of the front of the wing, if it makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be...
it's a lot worse than it looked coming in.
It is. It was a fair old whack, whatever it was. It's done the bonnet. It's broken the clips on the bonnet, so they're going to need to take that down. And just looking at the back of it, they're in a dilemma. I think they'll just do away with the wing, I reckon. Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to do away with it.
You ever get a dent to the front of your car, don't take a sledgehammer to it. That's what these guys have to do.
It's going to be safer to get shot of the wing. Because if that came off when somebody was following them, it wouldn't change the whole outlook on life, wouldn't it?
So Brad Jones continues to lead this race, but he's still to make another compulsory stop.
Same with Max Wilson, who now goes in, and that means that we've now got clear road for our race leaders. There it is, Mark Scaife, Stephen Richards and Todd Kelly. A Holden 1, 2, 3 at the moment. And the way Stephen Richards has been racing and has this car set up, I guess he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on the 4-time series champion in front of him.
Marcus Ambrose exits pit lane with a badly bent Pertec Ford. Max Wilson coming in for his stop for tyres, but I can tell you the Better Electrical team have had enormous dramas trying to talk to Mighty Mouse, particularly down the back straight. They had to resort to just about all the team hanging over the wall and signalling to him to come on into the pits.
Mark Scaife is the race leader. Stephen Richards is second. Todd Kelly's third. Jason Bright is fourth. Craig Lowndes is the top place Falcon at the moment. He's in fifth, just behind Bright. Here's the collision. Not quite sure what happened there, but just an obvious miscalculation. Ambrose has gone right into the back of Bright's car. Bit of damage on the back of the number 2 Holden as well. Gee. But Ambrose came off second best, as you can see on the Nintendo GameCube replay.
That's a second gear corner that they did that on, coming into turn 9. As Garth Tander walks back, I can also tell you that Paul Radisich had a little bit of an incident coming into turn 1 and ended up in the runoff as well. GT's day is over.
Matthew, I can tell you that as far as Paul Radisich is concerned, or at least one of the Shell Fords, may be in some trouble here. A lot of the teams are on the radio warning their drivers that there is some oil down at turn 16, and they believe it is coming from the DJR cars, or one of them. I believe it's Radisich. The team is standing by.
Oh. Yeah, I'm with Garth. What happened, Garth?
It's broken something in the rear hub or something like that. I was slowly getting a longer and longer brake pedal. Obviously a rear wheel bearing's gone or something like that, because she had a bit of an oil fire then when after I finally got it off the circuit. So lucky to keep it off the walls.
Nice weekend, eh?
Yeah, great place this, love it.
Thanks, Garth.
Yeah, it has not been a kind place. Garth Tander brought his 2000 campaign undone. Another man who's been struggling all weekend is Cameron McCondell and the Lansvale Racing team. You can see that front left wheel wobbling around, some sort of failure in the steering gear. So you can just see what a car breaker this place is. Massive curbs, concrete walls, off-camber turns. It really does give them a pounding.
It's incredible to think that they go away from one round, go testing some of them, try and fix their problem, get here with brand new shiny cars, and they leave here looking like they've just gone 15 rounds with Mike Tyson. Paul Radisich, that's what happened to him. Couldn't turn it right at the top of the main straight. Ended up turning it left, and I can tell Paul there's no way to go that way, but straight into a wire fence. The US Open is on again. It is at Bethpage State Park, the black course, one of the hardest courses I reckon you'll ever see. It's the longest course, in fact, in US Open history. We're going to be there from the 14th through to the 17th of June. You'll get full coverage on Network 10. 10 Australians, including Greg Norman, are in that field. But right here, they're trying to sort out a field that has cars going left and right. And on both sides here, left and right, you've got concrete no matter where you are. That's car number 14, Wayne Wakefield, the third driver to be behind the wheel of the IMS car for season 2002. And that probably will be a safety car. Let's recap the state of play at the moment, almost halfway through race 3. Mark Scaife is our leader. Stephen Richards is bearing down on him. Todd Kelly in position 3. Jason Bright in 4. Lowndes in 5. 6 was Bernard. 7 was Johnson. Right down to the top 10. That includes Greg Murphy. The Stegbar Canberra 400 continues with more.
We're back, and this is one of the reasons why we have a safety car out and the Stegbar Canberra 400. Wayne Wakefield just overcooking that corner at the end of the main straight. Now Garth Tander spinning, struggling, finished up on the grass. His car had to be towed or carried back to pit lane, and that is why we've had the race under a safety car nearly halfway through race 3.
Stand here with a very interested spectator for race 3 today. Steve Waugh, how are you enjoying it?
Yeah, really enjoying, mate. It's certainly exciting to watch live.
You went for a ride with Brad Jones yesterday. Not your first motorsport experience, but did it blow your mind still?
Yeah, the most terrifying so far, but yeah, it was a great experience. And to see those guys' skill factor and how tough it is in the car and how much they actually work on the wheel and their pedals, it was really good to watch.
Glad to see you here enjoying the action, mate. Get back and enjoy the race. It's about to restart.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
It's all about trust, those hot laps, isn't it? You've got to have total trust in the guy behind the wheel. The Munro safety car pulls into pit lane, and race 3 restarts with 26 laps to go. Mark Scaife is our leader. Stephen Richards is right behind him, and Todd Kelly's in there as well. It's a freight train through turn 1, and no dramas to speak of, thankfully, at this stage. Neil Cropton's there. Simon Wills is behind him. And at the moment, out in front, car number 1, leading cars 16 and 15.
Well, what can Craig Lowndes do here? Before the safety car came out, he was consistently the fastest car on the track. There he is in 5th. Best place forward at the moment with David Bernard, who's done a very good job to find his way up into that position, and he's got one of the cleanest looking cars in the field. David's really kept his nose clean for most of the weekend.
If only Craig Lowndes could get some luck go his way, maybe we could see something start to happen for the 00 Motorsport team this weekend. He's been consistently quick, as Mark Osler said. He started this event from pole position for race 1, and then things started to unravel. He had a 9th in race 1 and a 16th in race 2. And of course, the yellow line drama will be talked about for years for Craig Lowndes. David Bernard is right behind him in the Stone Brothers Racing Caltex Haviline Ford Falcon.
I just hope for Ford fans around the country, these Fords can work together here rather than taking themselves out, which they have had a propensity to do, because there's a flock of Commodores right in front of them. Mark Scaife, Stephen Richards, Todd Kelly, Jason Bright, then Craig Lowndes. Big high horsepower queue hoiking the wheels up over the curbs as they come through the Canberra complex back toward the Ford sweeper. Have a look at the replay of the restart. You can see a real traffic jam happening at turn 1. Look at that.
Anthony Tratt just caught with nowhere to go, because one of the better electrical cars must have been Tony Longhurst. No, in fact, it's Max Wilson. Oh, gives Glenn Seaton a push up the bum.
Another one?
Yeah, and Max Wilson then forced Anthony Tratt behind him to take evasive action, but unfortunately evasive action at turn 1 means concrete, like turn 1 through to 15.
Well, one man who hasn't had a good weekend, and you're not alone, because a lot of people had rotten weekends. Paul Radisich, what put you out in the Shell 18 car?
Hi, Mark. It really started in the second race where John Bow had an accident in the wall and come straight back and hit my car and put us out of the second race. And of course, going into this one, we had a few little dramas, and it lost all the power steering fluid sort of halfway through. So tough weekend, and this place is a real tough little place to try and crack, and it's hard on mechanical equipment.
Larry Perkins has come in, guys. He's broken the right rear suspension. He believes the shock bolts have gone. The guys took the tyres off, put cold tyres on, and Larry said, whatever you do, take them back off and put warm tyres back on it and try and fix this right rear shock. Let's just hope this problem, whatever it is, doesn't filter through to maybe affect Stephen Richards.
Yeah, bad news for Larry. I guess, Paul, you've got to ride a very fine line here. It's all very well saying you can race for survival, but you can't just cruise around on a Sunday drive. You've actually got to get into it, but keep the car clean.
You do, and you know, the curbs, it just even if you don't touch anything, just going over the curbs, the amount of shock that goes through the whole vehicle is very severe, and you know, you just have to push the car to the limit, because if you don't, you just go backwards.
Beautiful move there while you were talking, Paul, by Jason Bright, snuck down the inside of Todd Kelly.
And now Craig Lowndes is having a look on the inside of Todd Kelly as well. Let's go on board with Lowndes. Up the main straight, the order is Scaife, Richards, Bright, Kelly and Lowndes. Bernard's behind him, then it's Ambrose.
Tough stuff. Craig Lowndes, he felt the wrath of the officials. Race 1 yesterday when he crossed the yellow line. Now he's fought his way right back into this battle. There's Bright, there's Todd Kelly, and Craig Lowndes, the first of the Fords. There's 3 Fords in a row there. Look at how closely Todd Kelly is shaving those apexes. Wheels up on the curbs, clipping the rubber tyre markers.
But you have to do that lap after lap, because if you don't, you know, the concrete walls come up real quick, and it's the only way that you can keep the car in on the apex of the corner, believe it or not.
Is the track as narrow as it appears, or is it an optical illusion because the concrete walls are right on the edge of the circuit?
It actually looks wider here on television than it is in real life. Believe me, it's very, very narrow. This morning I was doing some burnouts in the VB Challenge, and it was just enough room to turn the car around in a circle, so it gives you some idea how tight it is.
No room for error. And this is a big handful of motor car to juggle around here, Paul. 600 horsepower, 1,350 kilos. Is this a track where the cars feel really big, but quite monstrous because of their weight?
They don't. No, they don't. When you're in them, the cars feel quite small and compact. But of course, when you get beside another car, yeah, then you realise how big they are, and how small everything around you is. But trying to stop the car is a real problem here, and you're trying to go past the 200 braking markers every lap to try and just go a little bit further. It takes a lot of effort to pull the cars up.
On board here with Craig Lowndes, right in the thick of this action. We go right up above the circuit as they sweep under Commonwealth Avenue. Through the sweeper up onto the main straight. Lowndes getting very close to the back of Kelly's car. He goes to the outside as they come down pit straight. Very narrow bit of racetrack here. But Todd Kelly, well positioned on the inside, moves over to cover his line. This would have to be the hardest track in the country to pass on, would I be correct?
Yeah, it is, Mark. And Adelaide is tough, but this one's even tougher. And just looking at Craig's car there, this weekend they've really got the car going very well. Just looking at the way the car is sort of sitting on the track, and his car it's using the tyres very, very well.
It looks very spectacular when you see the cars coming bouncing off the curbs with the wheels up in the air, but it's actually costing you time, because look at those Holden Racing Team cars, particularly. They float over the curbs almost like they're on air.
Yeah, well, that's the trick, you know. It's all about a balance and a compromise with the setup, and he who gets the better setup and enables the car to go around the corner and use the curbs smoothly and land on the other side is going to be the quickest. And you know, definitely the HRT cars soak up the bumps very, very well.
Battle group watching at the moment: Todd Kelly, Craig Lowndes and David Bernard. Bernard really has come of age in 2002. He had a rough baptism last year. Was caught in all sorts of incidents, but this year it's really clicked for him. He's shown consistent speed, and you can see that car very free of battle damage. So yeah, consistent run, isn't it?
The Stone Brothers cars, you know, they've been very consistent on all tracks, the fast tracks and here on the street courses, and you know, they've really got it all together, and both drivers now are very competitive.
Look at Jason Bright putting maximum pressure now on Stephen Richards. You saw Bright get around Todd Kelly. He's got plenty of pace in that car. So Scaife on your PlayStation 2 race score is in first position, Richards and Bright. That's the battle you're looking at now for second and third. Todd Kelly is having all sorts of dramas with Craig Lowndes on his tail right behind them. And Greg Murphy has jumped up 25 positions to be in 7th overall.
You've raced in top formulas around the world, Paul, but have you ever seen a consistent level of domination like the Holden Racing Team have at the moment? I've never seen anything like it.
Maybe Ferrari. Maybe the trick is to paint everything red, and they go well, but no.
Oh, Stephen Richards a bit loose.
Oh, how close was that?
Bright tried to pounce but thought better of it.
He'll be adjusting the seatbelts and getting himself organised now, because that was big.
That looks like quite a treacherous part of the track, the way the camber of the road falls away and sort of throws you into the wall.
The bump there is bigger than it looks there, and of course the car is pitching itself from side to side, and to catch that, he did an excellent job. It really rough and bumpy, yeah.
But getting back to HRT's domination, it's extraordinary how quickly they can dial these cars in, no matter what circuit, no matter what the weather, no matter what the tyre. These two cars are always right on the money.
They've done the homework, and they're very, very competitive and very quick. And you know, because there's not that much testing time and there's not much practice time when you get to the tracks, you know, you've got to come out with a car that's fast to start with, and if you don't, you're catching up all the time.
Look at that on the Nintendo replay. Boy, oh boy. Stephen Richards with a handful of opposite lock, kept it away from the concrete walls. It actually looked closer than that on the camera. Look at this. Jason Bright, more than a sniff down the inside.
Got him. Has he?
Richo wants to argue. They're going to go side by side through the complex.
Little bump.
He is one tough customer. Stephen Richards.
You'll get another chance, mate. You'll get another chance. Just yeah. This spot. Laps to go, mate.
It's coming out of the Holden Racing team with Jason Bright getting the orders of 22 laps to go, but they're staging a good battle, these guys. Richards and Bright fighting hard together.
It'll be worth double checking just where Stephen Richards and Jason Bright pitted relative to their tyres, guys. From memory, Bright pitted much later than Stephen Richards for tyres, so it could be that Brighty rubber-wise is in a bit of a better situation right now.
Yeah, Rusty, Jason Bright came in for tyres on lap 16 and Stephen Richards came in for his tyres on lap 6.
The other benefit of that is too that Jason Bright should be on a lighter load of fuel.
Mark, it's going to be interesting pretty much when he gets to about the last 10 or 12 laps to go, because you know, as you've just heard, most of the tyre changes happen pretty early. So it's really, you're going to see a lot of changes in that last 10 to 15 laps.
Look at this. Richo was not going to give in.
What's the bump that Bright gives him there? Just pushes him along his way. You might have just seen those numbers that we flashed up on your screen before involving Mark Scaife, the times that he's putting down compared to the times that Richards is putting down. In a nutshell, Mark Scaife is driving away from Stephen Richards, who's in second position.
A bit further back in the pack, here's the team Brock Commodore, driven by Craig Baird, leading a howling pack of cars. Baird's in 18th position. So this is right back at the tail of the top 20. Fierce battles going right up and down through the field. It's a hard grind. Look at this up the inside. Max Wilson just puts the car alongside the Castrol Commodore.
That's Russell Ingall that he had a sniff up the inside of, and it's not an easy place to control your car down there at the end of State Circle. This is Mark Larkham and Paul Wheel getting all tangled up. I don't know if Wheel actually contacted there. I think Larko lost it himself. So the smoke flies out the back of the Orcon Racer as Mark Larkham rejoins the field and takes aim at the flagpole on the top of the hill here in the nation's capital. And Mark Scaife is our race leader. Stephen Richards is second. Our thanks to Paul Radisich for stopping on by. Better luck next round, Paul, when we see you in Barbagallo. Scaife, Richards and Bright, 1, 2 and 3. The best of the Fords is Craig Lowndes. Keep your eyes on him. He is on a charger. The Stegbar 400 in Canberra on your home of motorsport, Network 10.
Just under 20 laps left now, race 3 in the Stegbar Canberra 400. And dare I say it, we've talked about it a lot this weekend because there has been the threat all weekend, and that is the potential for rain still here to perhaps spoil Mark Scaife's party as he chases 5 consecutive round victories. Stephen Richards not that far behind him. In fact, he has cut into the Scaife margin. Perhaps Mark has wound it back a little bit to conserve tyres because he was about 2.5 seconds ahead of Richards. Now it's down to 1.8 the last time they crossed the start-finish line at least. And Richo, of course, having to defend, let alone attack Mark Scaife. He's got to keep Jason Bright, his teammate, off his tail.
On board with Greg Murphy and David Bernard. You just saw come flying through the windscreen, or out the front of the windscreen, thankfully not through it, of Greg Murphy and the Kmart Commodore, who's got some straight line speed to put a move on Bernard and gets him.
Wow, Murphy has been flying. He has really fought his way back from the back of the grid. Had a pretty crummy points haul for this one.
He started from position 32 and he's up to 7th, made that 6th by the time they cross the line here.
This is what happens in these races. These guys get a real move.
Oh, Bright and Richards
come to tears
at turn 1.
Well, they were going at it so hard, and now that'll move their closest pursuers, Todd Kelly and Craig Lowndes, up to 2nd and 3rd. What an expensive mistake.
And on the flip side, that couldn't have been any better for Craig Lowndes. Like you say, he's going to move up the tree. So Mark Scaife gets through here, no problems at all. But now watch this, tangle.
Locked everything up on the back, went in too deep under brakes. Richards under attack. And fortunately, both cars managing to get going again. So Bright just a little bit overcooking it.
Oh, I mean, there's barely enough room for two cars pointing in a straight line there, let alone one sidewards and the other straight.
Just goes to show how hard he was trying, how hard he was pushing. Locked up the rear brakes, slid off down the escape road, just kissed that rubber tyre buffer. And both cars getting back, but they've lost a lot of track position. Here now is the battle for second between Todd Kelly and Craig Lowndes. Lowndes moving up the order, top placed Ford. He's now in the top three. On board with the 3 times national V8 Supercar champion. Craig Lowndes really turning it on here. He's had good speed all weekend. He was robbed of that race 1. The sign being shown down there to one of these two cars. I'm interested to know what that's about.
Well, who does that benefit? The Richards-Bright incident will benefit these guys, obviously Kelly and Lowndes, but also Murphy as well. Here's Glenn Seaton at exactly the same spot. He'll go onto the runoff. It looks like Anthony Tratt that he got tangled up with, and he ends up on the grass as well at the first turn. Here we go, Lowndes and Kelly. They're going to go through like two sensible race car drivers would and not bother to mess each other up. Turn 2 is the sweeper. You're on board with Craig Lowndes. Now we take a look at car number 40, Cameron McLean. This is the back of the field. Tratt, McLean. And McLean in the VIP Pet Foods racer has a bad wheel. Smoke starts to pour out. Stephen Ellery went past. Simon Wills goes around the outside. And McLean will have to pull into pit lane.
Lap 34 of 50. Cameron McLean limps off. There's still plenty of laps here for a lot more drama to unfold. Paul Wheel also serving a drive-through penalty in the K&J thermal car. So the officials have been slapping down hard on any infringements here this weekend.
RPMlive.tv is the official website of our RPM show. Hosted by the man next to me, Billy Woods. You can find everything in there, including our brand new merchandising range. Woodsy's got some on right now. Superbikes round 7 of Germany. He'll be back again tonight. Tonight after the late edition of Sports Tonight.
These undies are very nice.
Keep them to yourself, Woodsy. Lap 34 of 50. Here we are on board now with Craig Lowndes. That's such a scary thought. Bill Woods, underpants, no thanks. 00 Motorsport putting pressure on Todd Kelly, who's got the lights on. They go through the Canberra complex and pick up the Ford sweeper.
5 seconds the gap to race leader Mark Scaife. Here's the battle for second. Lowndes closes right up through the Ford sweeper.
16 laps, Craig. 16 laps to go.
Oscar Fiorinotto on the headsets to his driver Craig Lowndes, giving him information that he needs. He's trying to set this car up in front for a passing manoeuvre. As Paul Radisich said when he joined us for commentary a short while ago, the toughest circuit in the country to overtake on. Problems for Steve Ellery. That's down at turn 1 as well. Oh no,
that's
the
through
inside
the
batteries,
through the chicane there. So that's the exact same tyre wall that Stephen Ellery slammed into in qualifying. I think you're pointing out the front left there. Yep, all bent out of shape. So that car is probably not going too far.
Down to Holden turn once again. Craig Lowndes continues to apply the pressure.
It's in a precarious position.
Kelly responding magnificently.
Sorry, Marco. It's in a precarious position, this super cheap auto car, if he can't get it going. Take a look where it ends up. So he comes through the chicane here and clips that tyre wall, and that's your problem.
Just rip the front wheel sideways when he snapped a steering arm or something.
Yeah, there's a runoff there, so at least they should be able to pull it back. He's still stuck in the car. And isn't that something that we've seen a lot of Stephen Ellery from this weekend?
Hopefully they'll throw a safety car.
So hopeful of a safety car to get Steve out of that situation. He's certainly not going to drive out of there. I think he's...
Strip tyre deal, eh?
Yeah.
Pretty sure the safety car's coming out. It will. The safety car will come out.
He is stranded on that red
Safety car boards, Craig. Safety car boards.
Oh, this is going to close up the field. It'll mean that Mark Scaife, when they rejoin, will have these two right on his hammer. Scaife, Kelly and Lowndes, and Greg Murphy right up now in the 4th position.
Murph behind you has got reasonably good car speed.
This is going to be...
So at the moment, you're on the podium, but only just. We need to, if we can, get past Kelly. Are you in reasonable shape at the moment? Yeah, not too bad. I'm lucky a bit of dry, but really the car itself is pretty good, Nick. Todd at the moment is getting a lot of brake fade, okay, so he's weak there. Todd's weak under brakes at the moment.
Just an example of the interchange of information. The OO Motorsport team monitoring the performance not only of their car, of the Kmart Commodore as well. Let's go to Baz.
Sorry about that. I'm down here with Jeff Pilates, president of Ford Australia. It's not looking too bad for Craig.
Well, it's not looking that good either, but at least it's a bit better than it was about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it was a good run that Craig had yesterday.
He's had some bad luck, really. I mean, he's really driven well over the weekend, and you know, I guess the rules are the rules, and that's it. But yeah, he's been really great over the weekend.
You'd have to say Ford didn't have a lot of luck this weekend. I mean, there were 5 of them taken out all in one go.
We've had lots of luck, and it's all been bad, yeah.
Oh, well, I suppose it's only one way, and that's up.
Well, exactly. It's only one way up, but, you know, we'll just keep plugging away, and you know, we're getting some car speed, so I'm hopeful.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Thanks, Barry.
Yeah, he's pretty passionate about his motorsport, Jeff Pilates, the man who's committed millions of marketing dollars from the Ford coffers to try and get Ford back and competitive in V8 Supercar racing, and always seen around the pits. He's a terrific enthusiast. Mark Skaife, though, leading this one. Todd Kelly second. Craig Lowndes in third. That's going to be a great sprint. Greg Murphy, David Bernard. Look at the quality in their top 6 or 7 cars. Jason Richards up there too in the Team Kiwi machine.
So race 3 will have a restart when we come back. Around 15 laps to go. Don't miss the race.
Safety car out, race 3, Stegbar Canberra 400. Mark Skaife was a 4-second leader, then a tangle up between his chasers, Richards, and also involved in that tangle. And all of a sudden, things turned upside down. Skaife's lead was back out to a big one over Kelly and Lowndes. But now with the safety car out, it squeezes them up again. And in 6th place, fighting his way through the field,
that
will try and get through to Steve Johnson.
Stevie Johnson, car number 17. See if he's online with us. You there, Junior?
Hey, boys.
Nice and relaxed now. This isn't an easy place to race, even though you won it last year.
Mate, I tell you what, bring on this cold weather. Jesus, nice it is. I reckon the old man spread his bum off in the pits.
How hard's it been out there?
Mate, it's been... we've had a bit of a hard time trying to get this thing to put its power down through the weekend, but you know me, mate, I won't stop trying until the very end, so we'll see where we end up.
Well, Steve, you've got to restart the race at the end of this lap. I guess it's pretty difficult to pass in this condition now, is it?
Sorry, mate, I didn't catch that one.
I said it's going to be pretty hard to pass from here on, do you think?
Yeah, you sort of break it up as one of the other guys' mics might be better.
Okay.
Go get him, mate. Have fun.
Hey, thanks, boys.
See ya.
Stevie Johnson, there he is. And we thank him for taking the time there. Look at the way he's just throwing that Shell Helix Ford Falcon around to keep the warmth in the tyres. Obviously, he's not alone. We're almost ready for a restart. The Munro safety car leads this procession of what is now 30 cars left out there. 4 of them are out of the race.
We do apologise too for the break-up on that chat there, but look at the nature of this circuit. There's trees everywhere. They're driving under overhead bridges, and really does affect our signal to the chopper. So we do apologise. And here we get ready for the start. It's going to be a sprint to the flag, and look at the level of competition in that leading queue. Mark Skaife, Todd Kelly, Craig Lowndes, Greg Murphy. They get the power down, and away they go. Who's going to win this one? Head down toward turn 1. Flush past the pits. 200 kilometres an hour. Hard under brakes into turn 1. Nice clean start so far. And not too much fisticuffs going on back in the pack.
We've got such an awesome battle waiting to unfold. Skaife, of course, out the front has been untouchable this season. Kelly, as we heard on the discussion with Craig Lowndes' team, seems to be having some sort of problem under brakes. Well, that's the view of the Ford guys anyway. Lowndes has got heaps of pace in his car. Murphy has got extraordinary race pace in the Kmart Commodore. We've got a battle for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way down to 10th, if you like, to finish this one off. At the moment, Mark Skaife's out in front. And here's on board as we take a look out the back of Craig Lowndes' 00 Motorsport Ford Falcon. Greg Murphy, car number 51, the lights are on. It's getting pretty dark here, and hopefully the rain will stay away. 12 laps to go.
Well, those three cars, those three Fords, have been quick all weekend. The two Stone Brothers cars and, of course, the 00 Motorsport Craig Lowndes entry. And they just keep rising to the top, even though they've had difficult things to deal with. They very quickly get themselves back into contention, and that's just raw car speed and a lot of driver talent on show. And now we've got a real classic Ford versus Holden battle. Scaife, Kelly, Lowndes, Murphy, Bernard, Johnson, John Bowes in there too, Jason Richards, Stephen Richards, and Tony Longhurst rounds out the top 10.
Bit of a lock-up for Craig Lowndes. And we said at the top of the show that yesterday Mark Scaife was Mr. Clean. He stayed out of trouble. I'd be interested to see if there's one scratch on the HRT Commodore number 1. 12 laps to go.
Look at Lowndes. He goes to the outside, trying to intimidate Todd Kelly into a mistake. But Todd has proven quite a tough customer to get past and very hard to rattle. There's Natalie Lowndes, Craig's wife, watching on nervously from pit lane. Natalie expecting the Lowndes' first child. So it's an exciting moment for the Lowndes family.
The next generation of Lowndes racers. It's a good thought. Yeah, the kid Mark II. Unleash him on the V8 Supercar circuit. Him or her.
Great battle.
About 10 or 15 years maybe.
Riding with Mr. Lowndes, and look at how evenly matched these cars are. But Scaife just starting to open up a little bit of a gap now. 2 or 3 car lengths on Todd Kelly. Lowndes in third. Greg Murphy in fourth. Great fight back by Marcus Ambrose too to be up behind his teammate there. You can see the battle damage on the Pertec Falcon.
And it's been well documented what happened to Craig Lowndes with that yellow line, and the interesting thing is that it's pretty much prevented him from reaching a milestone in V8 Supercar racing. He's stuck on 49 race wins. Craig Lowndes, his last one was at Sandown last year for the Gibson Motorsport team. Of course, it's now changed names to 00 Motorsport as we go on board with Greg Murphy. So he's locked down on 49 race wins for his career. Craig Lowndes, he's got a hell of a long way, not a long way, but a lot of work to do to get around Todd Kelly and then hunt down Mark Scaife.
This will be a great relief for Greg Murphy. You can see he goes right back to first gear for the Canberra complex. Belts it out of here, up to second, up to third, fourth. And this is one of the most difficult corners to get right.
Neil Crompton.
Yep, he's been having a whole lot of problems this weekend, Crompton.
That was that first gear where Greg Murphy just took us through the Canberra complex. So Cromley just lets the traffic go through and then rejoins the race. Greg Murphy is all over the tail of Craig Lowndes, who's caught in a Kmart sandwich at the moment.
So the only man out of step in that leading queue is Marcus Ambrose. He's done well to pick up this leading duo, but he's of course a lap down as a result of that incident. But David Bernard is well and truly in this battle. So it's Scaife, Kelly, Lowndes, Murphy, Bernard, Johnson, Bow, Stephen Richards and Jason Richards. This is difficult for these guys. The car's so even now. Look at Scaife just inching it out. 1.7 seconds the lead now over Kelly. So as we've seen all weekend, Holden Racing Team cars handling the bumps very well. Let's look at the Nintendo replay. Crompton gets right out there on the white lines. And the back of the car came around very quickly, out on all the marbles out there too. A lot of rubber rolled off the tyres, sits out there off the racing line, and when you get onto it, the drivers tell you it's like driving on ball bearings. So the battle continues. Lowndes looking for an opportunity. He's now the meat in the Kmart sandwich. David Bernard just sitting back there watching this battle unfold.
Here's the Valvoline Cummins Commodore of Jason Bargwanna getting sidewards and lit up with Russell Ingall. And Jason Bright also caught on the outside of all that mess. David Bernard, Marcus Ambrose, there's Junior Johnson, John Bow, Stephen Richards and Jason Richards. So Stevie Richards has dropped back to 8th position after that tangle with Jason Bright, and Bright is back to 14th position. How costly that spin at turn 1 was. It's opened the door for all these guys. Lights are on for Greg Murphy as he comes past pit lane again and takes on turn 1. Todd Kelly is still holding off a challenge from Craig Lowndes.
Very important that Greg Murphy tries to minimise the damage. Look at the number of positions he's made up in this race. 28 places. And he started right back there in 32nd spot. He really has been on a tremendous charge in the Kmart car. was beset with mechanical problems, alternator failure in race 1, broke a drive shaft early in race 2. Now finally the car running reliably and is right in the thick of the action. Keep in mind he was second in the championship points coming into this round. He wanted a good points haul. So he really is in damage control at the moment. Try and pick up as many points as he can to keep himself high up in the championship ladder.
Of course, he did not finish the first 2 races. You don't pick up one single point when you don't finish a race in 2002. Cameron McLean in the VIP Pet Foods car gets a bit too cosy with the tyre wall.
Well, it's late in the day. Everyone's down to the best of their used tyres. You quite often see this toward the end of a race, particularly a 50-lapper like this one.
There's a big bump in the road there too, isn't there? A big dip at about the 50-metre braking board. A couple of them have been caught out on it. If you're going to have any trouble going in there, that bump will exaggerate the trouble by tenfold. Here's something we've seen before. Craig Lowndes all over the back of Todd Kelly, but Kelly does not want to make way. Tomorrow afternoon on Network 10, the Demons versus the Pies, AFL on 10. You'll catch it right here. Please check your local guides. Monday afternoon footy on the long weekend should be a beauty.
9 laps.
3.4 seconds the lead skate now. He's etching it out because these two would be slowing each other up. Kelly would be looking at his mirrors, trying to keep Lowndes at bay. Probably not driving his ideal race line. And that would be allowing Scaife to just concentrate on nice, clean, accurate laps up there in front. And he's taking advantage of that situation. 3.4 seconds now. The lead over the battle for second. And it's a 3-way fight, almost a 4-way fight. If David Bernard can get on the back of this trio.
You've got to give it to this Kmart crew. They've been so professional. I mean, they had so many setbacks for Greg Murphy coming into this race, but they got all their heads together and managed to work out a way to get him back up the top of the field, not to mention pure aggression, coming up 28 places into 4th position at the moment, lap 42 of 50, and no change to the way they restarted this race. Mark Scaife is out in front. He's 3.5 seconds clear of that man, Todd Kelly. Then Lowndes and Murphy. Bernard holding down position 5. Stephen Johnson in position 6. John Bowes in number 7, and then 2 Richards. Stephen in 8. Jason, the Kiwi, in 9, and Tony Longhurst in the better electrical Ford Falcon in 10th.
You may notice the Pertec Falcon running in that queue. That car has been lapped, unfortunately, as a result of that incident. But Ambrose has done well to fight his way back to almost unlapping himself. Let's check him out on the Shell Helix race score. Scaife, well, he's in command of this one. 3.4 seconds now, the lead over Kelly and Lowndes. Murphy, Bernard. It's a very quality top 10. Back with more from the streets of Canberra. This is the Steg Bar, Canberra 400.
We're back and watching a man who is in absolutely the peak of his powers. Mark Scaife, nearly 4 seconds ahead of chasers Todd Kelly and Craig Lowndes. Kelly was in this position before. I think it's fair to say Lowndes has a little bit more car speed, but getting around somebody with not too much more power on this track is extremely difficult. Incidentally, Scaife is now heading for a possible 340 out of a possible 400 points this weekend. Only the reverse grid really was able to beat him, Matty. And what can you do? It's incredible.
Total control and utter domination, isn't it? And, oh, what a mess of Glenn Seaton. The whole front of the Ford Credit Falcon is a wreck. Somehow he's going to try. Look at the steam and the smoke coming out of the right-hand side there. Somehow he's just going to try and limp it back to a safe position. I think that's down right on the bottom part of this circuit around turn 15. No, it's through the Canberra complex around the back. Oh, there's nothing worse than crashing your car, but crashing your car right in front of a whole heap of Holden fans when you're a Ford driver is probably a little bit worse. Paul Wheel, car number 43, maybe that's where the tangle came up with. And there's lots of damage to the K&J Thermal Ford Falcon as well.
This is like a smash-up smash-up derby at Parramatta Raceway. Unbelievable. Look at that.
Max Wilson, another victim. Yet another one.
Well, there's 3 radiators the wheels will have to come up with.
Yep.
Yeah, they're going to do a brisk trade. K&J Thermal.
There's been so much front-end damage, hasn't there? Almost every major damage that's taken place has all involved the front end. This is Jason Bargwanna, or is it car number 35? It has to be, because his teammate's out, so he managed to get through relatively unscathed. Now, Wheel and Seaton are still on the road when that turn was taken, but down here, Max Wilson goes wide and crunch.
Boy, Max has been involved in... Max has been involved in an awful lot of sheet metal surgery today.
Larry Perkins also caught up in that one. Mark Larkham as well. Paul Morris goes around. And Max Wilson.
We hear that Todd Kelly, as Glenn Seaton checks out the damage on the Ford Credit Falcon, Todd Kelly has been shown a bad sportsmanship flag for balking Craig Lowndes. Now, that's interesting. 45 laps of 50. The driver's code allows for a bit of covering your line toward the end of a race, but maybe they consider that Todd started that condition too early. So he's still in the sandwich there. So the bad sportsmanship flag basically says that the driver has to correct his behaviour, and if not, they'll show him a black flag.
He's been giving a bad...
Yeah, just the same information getting through there to Craig Lowndes, talking about Todd Kelly in front of him.
On Kelly.
Keep the pressure on Kelly is the word, because they may be able to force him into a black flag situation.
Paul, what happened?
I think Max Wilson got turned around, and then it was just big nose to tail. I was behind Glenn and had nowhere to go, and I didn't run into him, but then Larry come charging up behind us and just shunted us straight into us. That's the problem with this track here. If you have a bit of bad luck like we did today, you get caught back with all the other guys who just want to take each other out. And guys use their common sense. This would be a great race, especially with reverse grid, but you know, unfortunately it can't happen.
Lots of damage, boys.
Yeah, is there what? Tell you what, this is going to be interesting to see what the officials do here, because there is allowance for covering your line toward the end of a race. That's a well-known rule in the drivers' briefings. Well, what are they going to determine, having already showed Todd Kelly the bad sportsmanship flag for balking? What are they going to do toward the end of this race? It's a tricky one. Lowndes goes to the inside. Todd Kelly moves across. So real pressure driving here. Lowndes has got it all to do. He's trying to overtake the car in front. He's got another Kmart car with headlights blazing right up behind him. And he's the only Ford in contention for a top 3 position at the moment. Oh, another better electrical car hits the wall.
Tony Longhurst, is it, or Max Wilson trying to make his way back? Where did that come from? That's a big mess. Oh, heavy under brakes. Craig Lowndes. Does that allow Greg Murphy through? No, not yet. Turn 11.
Laps running out for Craig Lowndes to make his move. Greg Murphy is so close behind Craig Lowndes' car. It's almost stuck to the back of it. This battle has been going on lap after lap after lap, and no one has been making a forced error. There's the bad sportsmanship flag being shown again to Todd Kelly. So what is going to be the decision here?
Lap 46 and 50 now. If they stay this way with Mark Skaife winning this race, Todd Kelly coming second and Lowndes coming third.
4 laps. He's been giving a bad sportsmanship flag. Keep pressure on.
Well, that's a worthy tactic from the crew. They want to force him into a black flag situation.
Hey, I don't think Craig Lowndes needs any encouragement to keep the pressure on at the moment, because he's been doing a spectacular racing. You can watch this kind of stuff all day. And Lowndes is making a habit out of making a spectacle out of these races. Even when Skaife's gone out far in front, Lowndes has shown that he's got everything that it takes to make excitement plus when he's working his way through the field. The point that I was going to make was that Skaife, Kelly and Lowndes, if they finish that way in the race order, that will reflect the way that it'll finish overall in the round order as well. And as Woodsy mentioned, Mark Skaife will collect 340 points out of a possible 400.
Timing, I was going to say, Matty, the timing of this bad sportsmanship flag just seems a bit odd. I mean, that they're showing it to him right toward the end of the race when they said drivers did have a bit of leeway in terms of protecting their position. I don't know if they had a concern with him blocking. They didn't do it 10 laps ago.
Well, Lowndes needs something to go his way in this round, and maybe that's the kind of thing that'll do it for him.
Hardly expect Todd Kelly to move over and wave him through now.
No chance whatsoever. The visor's up because it's getting pretty dark here. 3 laps to go for Craig Lowndes. He's got the sawn-off steering wheel. Allows him a full view of the dash and all the information that he needs, which is right on that wheel, in fact. The LED readout. So Todd Kelly still holding off. Craig Lowndes and Greg Murphy goes off on the side. A little bit of damage to the front right, but rejoins, no problems.
Just got the rears locked up a fraction. He got out of the middle pedal. That got him back into control, but he see him drop right off the back of that battle.
3 laps, no pressure from Murphy. No pressure on Kelly.
Bit of smoke now puffing from the back of Craig Lowndes' car. If you have a look at that, might have been a result of that tap from Greg Murphy. Let's have a look. Yeah, you can see the damage on the back of the 00 Motorsport Ford, but it doesn't look too serious.
There's frantic activity going on down here at Kmart Racing at the moment. Crew Chief Rob Crawford is going through the rulebook. That's the boys there that you can see them. Now, I think this has all got to do with Todd Kelly being shown the bad sportsman flag. They're going to keep him there for the moment, and they're going through the rules.
Seems crazy. There's 48 laps down.
Only 2 laps to go. They're doing 1:44, so 3 minutes of racing time to go, basically. And like you say, it's strange timing, but it also doesn't leave very much time to go through the rule book, because the rule book is about 3 inches thick. Greg Murphy, that was the incident involving Murph there at the Canberra complex.
Tony Fredrickson from Kmart Racing has just informed me the reason they are going to the rulebook is that they believe that Todd is faster in one particular sector of the circuit and Craig is faster in another, so they believe they have a right to hold their position.
Yeah, I would have thought so, particularly this late in the race. They can start waving bad sportsmanship flags at 20 or 30 laps, but hardly at 47, 48.
And you think of all the drama that's unfolded at the rear of the pack in especially race 1 and then this race. Of course, the reverse grid race was a different story altogether. You think of all the drama from positions 2 right down to 34. That's where all the drama's been. But out in front, it's been a case of clear road and no worries whatsoever. And that's exactly why Mark Skaife will walk away the winner of round 5. The Stegbar Canberra 400. He's been out in front. That's where there's no trouble.
Yeah, guys up in the box, isn't there some regulation that says you're allowed to cover over the last 5 laps of a race?
Well, that's what we were talking about. It just seems funny, the timing to be showing bad sportsmanship toward the end of the race. I don't understand that one.
But I think you'll find that you're allowed to cover the last 5 laps of the race, but I think you'll find what happened. He got the bad sportsmanship flag about 7 or 8 laps before the end.
Yeah,
so what they're doing now is saying, well, hang on a minute, we hung the flag out.
Well, it's a grey area, though, Baz, because they never determine exactly how many laps from the end is considered to be bad sportsmanship.
I thought it was 5 laps from the end.
Yeah, but in terms of laps before that, it's never quite clear when they want to start doing that.
Yeah, that's one of those grey areas that they can use wherever they like, can't they, whenever it suits them.
There's quite a few of them. We're just taking a look at David Bernard here in position number 5, car number 9. And then further back through the field, that was Jason Bright going through. Stephen Richards and Jason Bright, 8 and 9. They blew a golden opportunity to put the pressure on Mark Skaife when they got tangled up together at the top of turn 1. Richards and Bright, 16 and 2. And they're in positions 8 and 9. That's more than likely how they'll finish. And another good performance from Jason Richards behind them in the black Team Kiwi car 021. And obviously our viewers throughout New Zealand would be enjoying this weekend, the Stegbar 400 weekend. Thanks for watching as Jason Bright comes down the outside. This is the sharp right-hander, so he won't get him there.
So Bright and
final
Richards,
lap.
Yep, battling it out for the last positions in the top 10. So what can Craig Lowndes do here?
Last lap.
Well, it's going to make Craig put the eyes on. He's got nothing to lose. Sitting down in 6th position in the championship. Let's have a look at this Nintendo replay.
The big don't argue through the complex. Just in case you didn't notice that I was there, Todd Kelly, Craig Lowndes puts the nose of the 00 green-eyed monster up the rear of the Kmart Commodore. Mark Skaife's got a bit of traffic in front of him. Just there, that's turn 10. Parliament House is on the left-hand side as they sweep down State Circle for the last time, coming up to turn 11.
See Craig getting sideways under power there as he came through the turn. Holden corner, up to Falcon corner. Swung onto State Circle with plenty of power, a little bit of wheel spin. Now he's trying to find a way past Todd Kelly, but I think unless Todd makes a mistake, this is pretty much like trying to force your way through a brick wall.
Can you believe just how dominant Mark Skaife has been in terms of collecting points throughout the first 5 rounds of this championship? He's more than double the points clear of his nearest rival, which was Greg Murphy coming into this round. He's just a points machine. They started with a double points round in Adelaide and he took them, thank you very much. Another 340 points go in the bag of the 4-time series champion. 5 out of 5 and the streak is alive.
Great job, boys. Unbelievably good.
Todd Kelly comes across in second. Craig Lowndes, congratulations and thanks for providing an outstanding race to come across in third, and same to you, Greg Murphy, who worked his way up all the way from the back of the grid. Murphy comes up to finish in 4th position.
That's what you've got to keep doing. That is just a fantastic effort from you, bloke.
That was something special, wasn't it? Mark Skaife keeps his nose clean. The ultimate professional behind the wheel. 1, 15 and 00. That's how they finished race 3, and that is how they'll finish round 5 of the V8 Supercar Championship. Let's take a look at your Shell Helix race score and make it as official as we can. Mark Skaife crosses the line in first. Now this is how they finished race 3. Later on we'll show you exactly what it means in terms of championship points. Kelly and Lowndes on the podium as well. What a spectacular drive from Greg Murphy. David Bernard in good position. 4 of the Fords in the top 8. So 4 and 4 evenly split. Jason Bright, Russell Ingall, Jason Richards, Tony Longhurst and Bradley Jones. That's how they finished race 3 of the Stick Bar Canberra 400.
Robbie Starr congratulates Mark Skaife. Mark Skaife congratulates Robbie Starr, because that's the way it is with the Holden Racing team. Very much the entire crew put in the effort this weekend to get Skaife across the line and as many points as possible. They were the first people he thanked when he took the checkered flag. Jeff Breck, of course, the team boss. Great effort. Let's go to the podium with Mark Osler.
Well, what a fantastic weekend on the streets of Canberra. It always turns on its own brand of special action. Lots of damage and lots of excitement, but nothing could unseat the incredible run by Mark Skaife. We'll get to Mark in just a moment. Before I make the presentation to 3rd place today in what has been a fantastic Stegbar Canberra 400, I'd like to call on Jeff Appleby, the CEO of Canberra Tourism and Events Corporation, to present the trophy to the man who was 3rd place today. Put your hands together for Craig Lowndes. Well done. Well, you had to battle the officials, you had to battle the Holdens, you had to battle the concrete walls, but you got there. That car had a lot of speed all weekend.
Yeah, it's great to the guys, really. We had a test session early in the week and really beneficial for us. I glanced the wall, the rear wing's been put over, but great job for Todd. Like, really, I pressed him as hard as I could. He didn't make any mistakes, but to all our guys, to all the Ford fans, to Dunlop, to Mobil, thank you very much, especially to the guys down here on my team. It's great to stand up here again.
Great to see a competitive Ford out there. Can you continue this pace at Barbagallo?
Well, we think so. As I said, we had a great test day. We've learned a lot of the car. We've made a huge improvement. This weekend we've been up the pointy end most of the weekend. We got caught up in a bit of controversy, but really at the end of the day we did the best we can.
He always does the best he can, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for Craig Lowndes. 3rd place overall in the Stegbar Canberra 400. Right now I'd like to call on Ted Quinlan, the ACT Minister for Tourism, to award the trophy to the man who came 2nd today. And boy, oh boy, he really has matured in the last 24 months. A big round of applause for Todd Kelly. Well, they made you work hard for your money. Craig was absolutely leaning on you there, but you didn't crack under the strain.
No, we were struggling a little bit with our brakes, and Craig was braking really well into the hairpin, and he was putting me under enormous amount of pressure, but we kept him behind, and thank you to Kmart, Holden and Castrol and all the boys. We're in a good position in the championship, so well done.
Round of applause for Todd Kelly. Brilliant job. And one of the many TWR Australia Commodores that are so strong in the championship. Before I introduce the race winner this weekend, Mark Skaife, I'd like you to welcome Nigel Lapping, Managing Director of Stegbar, sponsor of this wonderful event, to say a few words. Nigel?
Well, to the general public, a fantastic event, great weather. It didn't rain despite what everyone said it was going to do. To the trio behind me, Mark Skaife, Craig Lowndes and Todd Kelly, well done. To an exciting weekend, and thanks to you for all your support. Very well done.
Thank you, Nigel. Well said. And great to see Stegbar on board. What a wonderful event the Canberra 400 is. All right, now save your applause. This man, well, we don't like to sound like broken records, but this man can't help breaking them. He's taken 5 championship wins in a row. That's unprecedented in his own career. He might make it 6. Who knows when it's going to stop? Big round of applause for Mark Skaife. How about it, folks? Boy, I'm getting very used to this, so we might as well just camp up here on the podium. I don't think you're going anywhere for the rest of the year.
Well, look, Mark, I mean, it is a great record, but it's all about how well the guys have gone. And, you know, we've, again, been able to wheel the car out from the start of the weekend and been competitive. And to our blokes, it's an outstanding effort. I mean, they are the benchmark 2 in the moment, and we're lucky enough to be driving there.
I mean, you've got a big laurel wreath around you, but I guess you're not resting on your laurels. You're not there yet, are you?
Well, we're not. I mean, this weekend, we said before we got here, we all spoke about it, and we thought it was probably one of the riskiest weekends for us with so many points in that race. And we knew that we had to be in the first couple of rows after the first 2 races, and that's how it worked out. Our car was great, and you know, it was one of, I think, you know, one of our best efforts in terms of making sure the car was well set up for this race.
Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. The winner of the Stegbar Canberra 400, Mark Skaife. He just goes from strength to strength.
Curiously, despite the effects of the reverse grid this weekend, we had the top 3 in race 3 finishing up the top 3 in the round. Skaife, Kelly and Lowndes now spraying champagne across everybody, which, trust me, in a cold Canberra afternoon is not pleasant. Skaife with 340 out of a possible 400. And then Todd Kelly, after that, very, very close indeed. Great comeback from Craig Lowndes, defending that setback from the first day where he was given that drive-through penalty and lost at least 8 positions overall. So Lowndes to get on the podium this weekend was marvellous, and a bit of a comeback for Ford in what has been a very lean year. But in terms of the championship, Mark Skaife is absolutely dominant, about twice the number of points of now Todd Kelly, who has taken over from Greg Murphy, second in position before this round. Marcus Ambrose hanging in there with another consistent weekend, but things just not going his way. And you can say the same for Craig Lowndes as well. Barry Sheen, what can we say about this extraordinary round, though? Because it does give us just about every possible variable that you can have in motorsport.
Quite incredible when you think about it. I think it's fantastic. Kudos for the V8 series. You know, when you consider we go out to a lot of different countries now, to have a V8 race around by the Houses of Parliament, that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. It's a great circuit. It's very, very tight, and really getting run over here by the Ford credit thing. It's a very tight circuit. It's hard on cars, but as I say, it's great publicity for the V8 series. And you know, Lowndes did good, but you've got to hand it to Skaife. You know, the HRT mob are very, very good.
Brilliant performance indeed from that team. Let's take a look at what's ahead on your home of motorsport. And it isn't just motorsport, I promise you. The Monday game, AFL on 10. Check your guides for details. It's a good one. Melbourne versus Collingwood. And we've got more Superbikes from Lausitzring in Germany, the second year of this quite extraordinary new circuit. The Superbike World Championship. Barry and I will hot-foot it back to call that event for you. And then Monterey. That's tomorrow. Check your guides for details again right after sports tonight, the latest round in the Kart World Series. V8 Supercars continue from Barbagallo in Western Australia. It'll still be fairly cool over there at this time of year, but probably not as cold as it has been this weekend. Check your guides for details once again, and we hope that you've enjoyed this round of the V8 Supercar Championship. On behalf of the entire crew, thanks for joining us. We hope you'll be with us next time. Bye for now.